Yay! We are live. Welcome to the live masterclass series for, why do I say for people who lead people in teams? Wow, amazing. Great start. I just saw it on the banner. So welcome. Make sure that for those of you who watch this live, but even if you don't watch this live, make sure that you ask your questions and make your comments in the comments section, because I will see that. I will answer your questions and I will take your suggestions at any point in time. So absolutely feel free to ask whenever you need to ask. Don't wait until the end of this. And if you know that you can't join all of the live sessions, then please check the link in the description and make sure that you register for this masterclass. And that way you're going to get all of the information. You're going to get the replays, you're going to get the handouts, the resources, everything. So check the link in the description. Let me change it. No, let me change this because I can't stay like that with four people. It's just, okay. So what I want to say before we start is let you know what we are going to do in this live masterclass. And first of all, the schedule is this. We're starting today up until April 16th, except for the weekend, obviously. And then we start at 5 p.m. We end at 5:30 p.m. every day, Eastern time, just so you know. Calculate if you're in a different time zone, what time this means for you. And we're live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So basically, we're catching this live. And this is the link that you also have in the description for you to sign up and get all of the replays and never worry about missing a live session. So what we are going to go through during these 9 days together is we are going to start discussing the process of high performance. And that means preparation, performance, and recovery. So we are starting, the first 3 days are going to be all about preparation, right? We are going to think about ourselves, the leaders of your teams, the managers of your teams, the small business CEOs who have a small team or a large team who want to scale their team, whatever team environment you're in, you think of yourself as a high performer. Basically, we're going to take the high performing athletes process of preparation, performance, and recovery. So that's why we're starting with emotional intelligence, because that's a huge part of preparation, right? How am I going to perform if I'm not prepared, if I'm not ready, if I'm not charged? Much like our mobile phones. If I'm at 10% battery, how am I going to perform, right? So that's what we're going to learn today and tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, right? We're going to go through emotional intelligence, mindsetting, power poses, breathing and diction exercises, all of the good stuff that helps us feel prepared and confident and ready to go. And then we are going to talk about performance. And that is, you'll love this. You'll love everything if you're here. We're going to talk about managing your time instead of letting it manage you, managing your team from hiring all the way to developing and retaining, and managing change. And we're going to talk about the difference between change and crisis. And then we will talk recovery, because, hey, we can't perform at 100% every single day, day after day after day. We need recovery so that we're able to perform again. So that's what we will talk about. Self-care strategies for high performance, the power of community for the high performance cycle, and then the importance of higher purpose in engagement, motivation, and performance. Now that for you as a dream boss, building a dream team, that's essential. And that's essential. That's an essential process to replicate for your team as well, right? You want that. You want to understand how this works so that you can take it back to your team and apply it there, right? Okay, awesome. So what we will start with is introduction. I wanted to let you know a little bit about me before we start. So my name is Roxana Radulescu. I'm the founder of All Personal, a training, coaching, and consulting company. And I help mid to senior managers and also small business CEOs become dream bosses and build dream teams. I also design and deliver and facilitate online learning programs and courses for leading and engaging virtual teams. So either in bigger organizations or in smaller organizations, typically where we are working with a team and want to help it be collaborative and highly productive. Designing workplace culture and communication, and also facilitating that for York University and Collège Boréal in Toronto. And my background is learning and development. I've been doing that for 15 years in top legal consulting firms internationally at executive level. And I'm also certified in learning and development and HR. And I love learning, and I love helping people learn different and lead different. There's a lot of potential out there for this. So that's all about me. I'm not gonna spend the whole day talking about me because we have important stuff to talk about. So day one, emotional intelligence and mindsetting. Wow, that is super important. And here is why. Why? Here's the definition that Daniel Goleman gives to emotional intelligence in his book, Working with Emotional Intelligence in 1998. He's also the author of Emotional Intelligence. So I definitely recommend the book. I actually have the link right at the end of this masterclass. I have the link to the book. That I'm recommending. But here's the definition that he gave to emotional intelligence. It refers to the capacity for recognizing our own feelings and those of others, for motivating ourselves, and for managing emotions well in ourselves and in our relationships. I cannot stress this enough. You want to manage your relationships better, you have to start with emotional intelligence. And you're going to see why. I'm getting this question a lot from, especially from people who want to grow on their leadership journey. Like, where do I start? There's so much to learn. There's so much information. There's so many things that I hear about, that I learn about. Where do I start on my journey? And I always say, start with emotional intelligence. It all starts there because it starts with you. You cannot improve your relationships with others if you don't improve your relationship with yourself first. And if you're still not convinced, I have a quote. No, I have a quote that I love, this quote about emotional intelligence. And this is why I wanted to share it with you. And by the way, this is part of my emotional intelligence online course, which I'm going to talk about at the end of this. And you're getting a link to it. You do what you want with it, but I'm just letting you know there's a full course out there waiting for you. But the reason why I love this quote is because it builds on the other quote from Daniel Goleman. Emotional intelligence is the difference that makes the difference. A lack of emotional intelligence is what limits some people in their ability to manage themselves, manage others, or manage situations. And this comes from the director of innovation at Microsoft. So now, the reason I say that I love it and I very much resonate with this quote is because we thinking about people who are successful, in our opinion. And there's the question for you as well. Thinking of somebody who's a great manager, a great leader, and is successful, in your opinion, what makes them successful? What are those qualities that they possess that makes them successful? And I would really love to hear your thoughts on this, because we all have our own different definitions of success, but we all instinctively recognize the qualities that somebody has that makes them successful in their management or leadership role. And now management, leadership, they're not the same thing, but you need to understand how to be a leader first, no matter what you do, because leadership is not about hierarchy. Leadership is about legacy. Leadership is about what you leave behind, no matter the role that you're currently in. It doesn't, you can be a leader somewhere in the middle of your professional journey. You don't have to wait to be up there, to be top executive level, to be a leader. So understanding how to lead is going to be important. So think about, what is it that makes these people successful? How are they leading? So there's a question to start from. And as you're thinking about it, here's a study from the CIPD in the UK, the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development, and on the impact that emotional intelligence has on our career development. And it says that nearly as much as 80% of the reasons why careers are derailed can be traced to weaknesses in emotional intelligence. How about that? And I think you already knew that, right? We know that. We know there's something. There is something that makes the difference, right? As we saw in the quote, it's the difference that makes the difference. When we all have the same level of skill and knowledge and confidence and experience, when we're all there, what is it that makes the difference? And I know that we say that it's the soft skills, which, by the way, they're not soft, they're essential, because those are the skills that include emotional intelligence. So I wanted to share the 3 primary causes of career failure that were part of the discussion in the study. And number 1 is poor interpersonal skills. 2, people who are not good team players, and people who have difficulties in handling change. Now add this to the current situation, add this to a crisis, and you will see that it becomes even more important. But because I shared the 3 primary causes of career failure, let me share the 3 predictors of career success as well, right? I mean, let's also talk about the good stuff. And they are being able to deal with a diverse range of issues, being able to manage emotions, and being able to manage social skills. That also means managing relationships, right? So now it starts to come together. That's why emotional intelligence is so important. Because if these are the 3 predictors of career success, these are all part of the emotional intelligence scheme. And here's why I say that. Because it all starts with ourselves. And I'm going to give you the framework of emotional intelligence. So you understand why I say, hey, but why? What is emotional intelligence all about? Why do you say that it's so important? Because look, why? Because we are going to talk about axis of actions and awareness, and self and others. Now, looking at this, it all starts with self-awareness. So basically, the minute I start understanding what my actions and reactions are, and this quality is what distinguishes us humans from the rest of the living beings, because we're the ones who are capable of self-awareness. You can do this exercise now and just think about, no matter where you sit or stand watching this, think about you being in the other side of the room, looking at yourself, watching this masterclass, and observe what you're doing, how you're listening, what you're doing, where you're looking. Are you typing any questions? Are you thinking about things? You're the observer at the same time. We can do that. That's self-awareness, understanding how we do things and how we look from some place that's external to ourselves. And that's why I say it starts with us, because the minute I understand how I react to certain situations, what behavior do I want to keep? Which of my behaviors do I want to keep? And which of my behaviors do I want to change? That's crucial, because that will help me understand others as well. That will help me understand why others react the way that they do. How I could let them know that possibly they can be thinking of changing that behavior or that reaction or action. But it all starts with self-awareness. If I don't understand where I'm coming from, I'm never going to be able to understand where others are coming from. And that leads to self-management. And we talk about managing emotions, for instance. How am I able to manage emotions if I'm not able to recognize them, right? So recognizing means I start with self-awareness, and then I decide, oh, hey, you know what? In this situation that for me is uncomfortable, I would prefer my behavior to be different. So here's how it's going to be different the next time I'm in a similar situation. And I can decide to change that behavior. And that is part of the self-management scheme. Also, self-management is being able to recognize my emotions, being able to name my emotions. The fact that I feel angry, frustrated, exhausted, disappointed, upset, tired, whatever emotion I feel, I'm able to recognize it, to name it, and then understand what it is that I can do with it so that I have the behavior that I want to have. And we're going to talk about the relationship between thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and results in 5 minutes. Okay? So that is why I say it all starts with emotional intelligence. We don't start from here. There's no way we can develop the rest, because see how it goes from self-awareness. I go to social awareness. I'm able to recognize patterns and behaviors and actions and reactions in myself. That's when I'm able to recognize them in other people. And that's when I start to understand them without necessarily judging or without necessarily feeling guilty or thinking that I need to provide a solution right now. That's what helps me develop empathy and those social skills that I need to be able to interpret cues from people. Social cues, the things that are not said, but the things that I can sense before they're said. And then I can become a better listener. And listening, let me tell you, is such an important part of leadership, because it gives you perspective And it helps you understand the situation without coming all in with our assumptions and our prejudgments and our own biases, which we all have, by the way, and that's human. But the fact that I develop self-awareness takes me all the way to developing social awareness, which helps me in my relationship management. So from social awareness to relationship management, and from self-management to relationship management. So for anyone looking for a fast track to great relationship management, there is none. There is no shortcut. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm never gonna lie to you. There is no shortcut, because it's as if, think about it. If you're a beginner tennis player and you want to be in the top 10, you need to go through the process to get you there. You can't shortcut all of the steps to get yourself into the top 10, because it's not going to work. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with our minds and with our essential skills, not soft skills. Let's stop calling them soft, right? Because there's nothing soft about it. There's a lot involved in this. And the stakes are super high, because the quality of our relationships is going to determine the quality of our lives. And by the way, that's a quote from Esther Perel. And if you search her TED Talk, and she also has a podcast that is called How's Work? How is work, as in, right? But there's so much at stake here. If you think about success and your definition of success, that is a lot of relationship management. But let's not forget that the first relationship that we need to manage right is the relationship with ourselves. And that, putting the context of you leading the team, you need to be able to lead yourself before you lead others, right? Okay, so stay with me, because there are more connections between leadership and emotional intelligence. So we start with managing ourselves, right? And that means self-awareness, managing emotions and pacing our emotions, and the level of optimism and self-confidence, because that grows, right? The more I become self-aware, the more I work on myself, the more I'm able to manage my emotions, the more I'm going to feel confident. And then I can manage my team better, because I develop empathy and I look at how I can develop others on my team. And I look at how can I manage conflict, and how can I manage change? How can I manage a crisis? Because I've done that with me. And then I'm able to manage the work, and I'm going to be a high achiever, and I'm going to take initiative, and I'm going to adapt, and I'm going to come up with ideas to solve the problems. And I will be able to manage collaboratively, because I understand how I work and how others on my team or around me work. So I understand how I can influence and inspire others, how I can foster teamwork, how I can be aware of what happens in my organization, and how I can contribute. So all of this is linked together. And the beauty of it is that you have maybe 80% control and influence over this, because, hey, it all starts with managing ourselves. So I have an exercise for you. Consider this. Think about, and I would like you to imagine the circumstances, right? And then record the thoughts that go through your mind, and possibly how you may feel. And imagine that you're cutting your finger, or receiving a compliment, or making a mistake at work, or dealing with an angry client or coworker. Those are situations that you might have been through. So imagine what's the thought and what's the emotion that you feel and what's your reaction to it. And by the way, I have a handout at the end of the session, and I will share an emotion journal, it's called, where you can understand how you can use that journal so that you can track thoughts and emotions and behaviors and understand what behaviors you would like to keep and what behaviors you would like to change and what you would like to change them into. So you can use that journal to start working on self-awareness and self-management and on managing your emotions. Okay. And because we were talking about managing your emotions, I'm pretty big on this, on the fact that mindset is a verb and not a noun. Because here's why: we're setting our mind every day. Mostly, I think every second. We're setting on our mind one way or another, whether we like it or not, whether we know it or not. So the whole process of mind setting is a process of managing emotions. And I wanted to start this with this quote: all that we are is the result of what we have thought. That is pretty powerful. And there's a lot of science behind this. So I'm not just saying because it's a nice quote. Yeah, it is a nice quote. That's why I shared it with you. But hey, there's more to it. And let me share this theory from Rudy Shelley. Now, Rudy Shelley is one of the greatest acting professors, and he's worked with a lot of Hollywood stars and British theater actors. And he has this theory that he used to share with his students when they had to go through an emotional scene. And he would tell them, don't go for the emotion when you're in an emotional scene. Don't go for the emotion. Go for the thought that triggers the emotion, and that will give you the behavior. And then the behavior goes back and feeds back into your initial thought that triggered the emotion. How cool is that? And let's put this theory into practice, because actually what he's done here is he's used a lot of psychology with his students, because this is actually how things work in action. We have a thought. And okay, our thoughts come from our beliefs and our values and our experiences, but we do have a thought about something. And that thought makes us feel one way or another. It makes us feel happy, for instance, or it makes us feel sad. It makes us feel excited, or it makes us feel afraid. Depending on that, I will do something. I will take one kind of action or another. And depending on the kind of action or lack of action, I'm going to get a result, or I'm not going to get anything because I'm not going to do anything because I don't feel like it. See how it goes? And then that result or lack of result is going to feed right back into the way I think. And yes, you will say, yes, it's a loop. It's like a vicious circle. So how do we get out of it? So let's see, how do we get out of it? And this is a big part of the emotional intelligence and of understanding how we work from the inside out, and how we can start to control more of what happens to us rather than blame the outside for whatever it is that's coming towards us. That is an important part of preparation. Think about yourself as a high-performing athlete and think about your team as high-performing athletes. This is a big part of preparing your mindset as a high-performing athlete. Because here's the thing, we can either have inner resistance or we can work with setting our mind so that we get a different result. And here's one thought. If I think that, hey, you know what, when I present, I'm exposed to judgment and ridicule. That's a thought. Now, when you read this, when you hear this, how do you feel? How does this make you feel? Oh, when I present, I'm exposed to judgment and ridicule. By the way, this is a big part of that fear of public speaking. Very much induced fear as well by the media, but yeah, because it feeds this thought. Yeah, I'm exposed. Oh my God. So what I feel is fear. So because I'm afraid, what am I going to do? What's going to happen to me? Well, our bodies will react to the feeling. And I'm going to start working with all those hormones that make me do just this. My throat gets tight, my heart beats faster, I don't express my opinion clearly, and I lose control of the situation, or at least I think I'm losing control of the situation, right? But the thing is, I don't express my opinion clearly because I didn't want to be there in the first place, because my initial thought about it was, I'm exposed and I'm going to be judged and I'm going to look ridiculous. So no, I don't even want to be there. Let's just get it over with. That's what happens when the thought is, let's just get it over with. This is what we're going through. We just want to run and hide. Okay, so when I do that, what happens is people will seem to attack my position and question my logic, and my ideas won't matter. And the problem with that is that we think when our ideas don't matter, we think that we don't matter. Like, I don't matter as a person because my ideas don't matter because I'm expressing them, and look what happens. And maybe people aren't attacking my position. Maybe they're just questioning me because I don't express my opinion clearly in the first place, because I didn't want to be there, right? But here's the trick. So when I get this result that people are attacking me and they're questioning me and I don't matter, it will feed right back into the initial thought. And I will say, well, you see, it's exactly what I thought about it. Each time that I present, I'm exposed to judgment and ridicule. Of course, I don't want to present anymore. Why would I? But the trick is, the more I become self-aware that this is happening, the more I can work on, now we know, changing the thought. Change the thought. And we're going to see tomorrow, if changing the thought doesn't work, what we can do to help change that still, to create the kind of change that we need. But in this particular example, we are working on changing the thought. Remember, don't work on the emotion, work on the thought that triggers the emotion. So what we want is a different emotion. I don't want fear anymore. I want excitement. I want to be ready for action. So I need a thought that helps me do that. And that is mindsetting. Like, that is awareness. That is the minute I choose, I'm going to set my mind on something different. That's it. And I can choose to set my mind on a different thought. And I will change the thought until, and I will repeat it until that thought changes the way I feel. And it can be this: when I present, I give people valuable information that they will appreciate. When I present, I give people valuable information that they will appreciate. Now, how does that make you feel? How has that changed the energy in the room? How cool is that, right? It's different. It's completely different. That's more enthusiastic. That gives me more excitement about what's going to happen. And obviously, when I feel better, I'm going to take a different kind of action. So, yes, my heart will still beat faster, but that is going to be also because I'm excited to express my opinion. I want to be there and I want to make it a valuable conversation. And when this is the kind of behavior that I display, this is what I do, then this is the result that I'm going to get. People are going to be curious and they might ask me questions, and we might continue the conversation after the presentation. But in any case, I feel that I matter because I provided something valuable. So when I feel that I matter, that feeds everything back to, well, you see, actually, when I present, I do give people valuable information that they appreciate. So that's mindsetting. And that's why I say it's all personal. Nothing is just business, because it all starts with us. It all starts with the intrapersonal, from the inside out. It starts from within. It starts, and if you remember anything from today's session, remember this, the formula of mindsetting. Think, feel, do, get. And then going back to thinking, right? I mean, we all know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, for us not to do the same thing, we need to change the thought. We need to change the way we think about the action that we need to take so that we get a different result. You want a different result? Get a different thought. How cool is that? Yay. Okay. Awesome. So, as I said, register for the masterclass, sign up, and you're getting the emotion journal handout and useful resources and further support. I have some links and books that I'm recommending, so you have everything in there. You can catch all of the replays and never have to worry about missing the next live sessions. Now, if you want more of this, we also have a Lead for Legacy League, and that's a global online management and leadership transformation program. I'm happy to talk to you about it. You can DM me, we can chat, we can set up a call, whatever works for you. You also have the link to the description if you're interested. But basically what we do is we have a lot of offline and online training on management and leadership, and weekly group coaching, Q&A discussions, brainstorming, business development, networking. We have guest speakers coming in, and you have people joining from different countries, different industries, with different kinds of experiences and different kinds of challenges. So we're all learning from each other and sharing with each other. So if you want to find out more about it, just drop me a message and I'm happy to tell you more. So as I was saying, tomorrow we will be discussing about power poses, body language, and how they influence our mindset. So again, if changing the thought doesn't work, then maybe, just maybe, we can do something about it. And we can help ourselves get into a different kind of energy and a different kind of mindset, so that we get a different kind of behavior and so that we change that result. So don't forget, sign up on the link in the description, catch all the replays, handouts, and resources. And I would really love to hear your comments and questions on today's session. See you tomorrow for the next one. Okay. Thanks for being with me here today. Have a great evening. See you.